What actually matters when you start a YouTube channel after 50? I thought it would be all about learning tech, but what actually mattered most surprised me a lot. How good your camera is or how well edited your videos are is not what determines whether your channel grows or stays stagnant like most do. When I started this YouTube channel after 50 without having any of those things fully figured out, something very unexpected happened. The videos that performed the best had nothing to do with production quality, they had everything to do with something far simpler than that. And once you see what that is, you'll realize why most people struggle for months or even years without getting traction and eventually give up frustrated. But here's the thing that caught me off guard. One of the biggest things people focus on early is actually almost irrelevant. And the thing that I ignored is the one thing that changes everything. So if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel after 50, or you've already started and nothing seems to be happening, this might completely change how you approach it. Now let's be honest for a moment. When you think about starting a channel, you probably go straight to the practical questions like what equipment do I need, and how do I edit, and how do I get subscribers, and how do I get views, and underneath all that, you're thinking something else. Who wants to listen to me? What if nobody watches any of the videos I create? And so what most people do is they try to prepare more. I started watching more tutorials on how to edit videos, for instance. I researched the best mic to buy and iPhone settings for shooting the video. And I listened to many gurus talk about hacking the algorithm to get breakout videos. What happened was this delayed me actually starting to create content for about 3 months. I was afraid I didn't know enough, and there was always more to learn before I even started. But here's the issue. Although this approach feels logical, it doesn't actually move you forward. In fact, it keeps you stuck because you're trying to solve the wrong problem. I remember sitting with my camera set up, ready to record for the first time. Everything was in place. I tested the mic, the lighting looked good. I had notes prepared on what I was going to say, but I still hesitated to press record. I was afraid that what I had to say wouldn't matter because there are already hundreds of thousands of other people out there talking about starting YouTube channels. And the hesitation helped me realize something very important. And once you understand this, everything changes. Because what actually matters when you start a YouTube channel is not the tech, and it's not even understanding how the algorithm works. What matters most is whether your video connects with a real person. Does it help to solve a problem? YouTube is not a video platform, it's a platform for attention. And attention flows towards relevance. If somebody sees your video and thinks this is exactly what I'm dealing with right now, or this is what I need to know more about, they'll want to hear more. They will click, and if they don't want to hear more, they don't click, they just scroll on. In my opinion, this is where most creators actually go wrong because they end up creating videos that are interesting to themselves instead of creating videos that solve problems for other people. So what does this mean for someone like me starting later in life and wanting to help others to share their experience and knowledge? The first thing that matters is you need to be clear on who you want to help. Call this your target audience. Most people start by thinking, what video should I make? But a better question is, who is this content for? Because when you know exactly who you're speaking to, your message becomes much clearer. You're speaking to a specific person rather than a group. Instead of saying, I want to help people who want to start a YouTube channel, you might say, I want to help people over 50 who are thinking about starting something new but don't know how to begin. That level of clarity changes everything. It changes your messaging, it changes your delivery, and your content structure. So the second thing that really matters is emotional relevance. People don't click on videos because they have nothing better to do. They click because something about the title and thumbnail grabs them emotionally in a way that feels important. Fear, curiosity, frustration, uncertainty, these are emotional drivers. So instead of making a video called How to Start a YouTube Channel, you might make a video called what if nobody watches my videos? Now you are speaking to a real emotion, and that is what pulls people in. But here's where it gets really interesting. The third thing that matters is simplicity. Most people try to make videos too complex and too detailed, too perfect. But early on, your goal is not perfection. It's about clarity. If somebody watches your video and immediately understands your point, then you've done your job. Think of it like explaining something to a friend over coffee. You wouldn't overcomplicate it. You would say it in the simplest way possible. And that seems to be what works on YouTube. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, this sounds great, Eamon, but I still need to understand the technical side. And yes, it's true, you do, but technical skills can be learned, and they can be learned quickly. You can learn how to edit in a few weeks, but learning how to speak about something that actually matters to somebody, that takes awareness, and that's where most people struggle. But the real reason many people don't grow on YouTube has nothing to do with either of these things. Most people fail not because of what they're doing, but because of what they're avoiding. They avoid publishing consistently. They avoid being seen online. They avoid the discomfort of putting something out there and not knowing how it will be received. So they stay in preparation mode, and although preparation feels productive, it is actually a form of hiding. I saw this in myself when I started. It wasn't choosing the camera that was difficult, it was getting in front of it. And you realize that the fear that was stopping you from being creative was very overstated. And that's when you start to move forward. So if you take one thing from this, let it be that what matters most when you start is not how polished your video is, it's whether it speaks to something real and to whether you are willing to publish consistently. Because growth comes from iteration, not from perfection. And here's a simple way to apply this immediately. Before you make your next video, ask yourself one question. What is the one thing my viewer is struggling with right now? And then make your video about that, not about what you want to say, but what they need to hear. Because when you align your content with real problems, everything else starts to fall into place, and that's the part that most people miss. They think growth comes from mastering YouTube, but it actually comes from understanding people. And once you understand that, you're no longer guessing. You're creating with purpose. If this makes sense to you, then please subscribe, comment below this video, and I'll see you next time.